Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Hammond Collection figure to take a look at. This time we have the Gallimimus, and this is one that I was really looking forward to, like potentially more than any of the figures that have come out so far. Of course, that's excluding a few other figures that are either currently out or about to come out, like the T-Rex and the Ceratosaurus. I definitely am anticipating them a little more than this one, but this Gallimimus is really exciting to me because although we have had a plethora of Gallimimus from Mattel in the past, I feel like Gallimimus is one of the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World that has been consistently overlooked for so long. We just really never had too many good figures of Gallimimus. Until Mattel came along, we did get quite a few good ones, but this, without question, looks to be the best one that we have ever had. Can't wait to open this up and check it out. You can see as far as the box art goes, it's your standard when it comes to the Hammond Collection. It looks pretty much just like the Raptor did, but of course we have the Gallimimus name and then a window area here where we can see the Gallimimus. Then here on the side, again, Hammond Collection. Over here on the other side, we do have an image of the Gallimimus, and it shows us that this is a Jurassic Park version. And then here on the back, we have another image of the Gallimimus. We also have an image over here, a still from Jurassic Park showing the Gallimimus running up over the hill. And then you can also see, again, some information on the Gallimimus down there. And then up on the top, you can again see the Jurassic Park logo and then the Hammond Collection logo. So I am beyond psyched to take a look at this. Let's pop this out of the box and check it out right now. So here is our Gallimimus, and let me see if I can actually get the feet in the right spot. We'll see how it balances out. Man, the feet are just like all messed up from being in the box. You can see the legs are a little bit messed up. So there we go. We've got it standing. We've got it balancing very nicely. And first impressions, it is absolutely gorgeous. Like, this is so much nicer than the Velociraptor, in my opinion. Really gorgeous sculpt, beautiful paint application for this one. Before I go any further, though, I do want to mention that many people are consistently in the comment section asking me after they watch the review where you can find different figures. And just like with this, I bought this from Big Bad Toy Store. I will have a link in the description of this video where you can pick this up on Big Bad Toy Store's website right now, currently in stock. Again, I will always include a link in the description of every video I post as far as a review goes where you can purchase a figure. So if you are interested in it, again, unless there's no option to do that anymore if it's sold out or something. But in this case, this is a brand new figure. We do still have the option to buy this. So again, anytime you're interested in a figure that I'm reviewing, make sure you check the links that I include in the description to see if there is somewhere to purchase it. And like I said, this Gallimimus is available on Big Bad Toy Store, so a link again directly in the description straight to the listing for the Gallimimus. But this one again looks beautiful. Definitely a really nicely done figure from Mattel. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Gallimimus, you can definitely see some really nice scale detail through the course of the head sculpt of the face of our Gallimimus. You can also see that really nice kind of an orangish tone for the majority of the body, kind of like an orangish brown almost, but you can also see a darker shade of color. I almost said it was a brown, but it actually looks like a variation of gray that kind of runs around the eye socket area and then leads up into the snout of the Gallimimus. You can see the nostrils sculpted out really nicely. The eyes are painted with a yellow and have a nice black pupil. However, for some reason, I don't really see much of a gloss coat. That's something that I'm kind of used to when it comes to Mattel, is a gloss coat on the eyes, adding a nice element of realism. I don't really see that here on the Gallimimus, which is honestly kind of shocking to me. We do, of course, have tons of articulation, but straight away we have an articulated jaw, so you can get inside the mouth of our Gallimimus. And we can see that we do have a painted tongue. We also have some paintwork there for the kind of skin flaps on the side of the mouth, and you can also see again that we also have paintwork for the teeth, and the teeth are painted fairly nicely. I mean, they're definitely a different shade. They almost look like they're not, but they're definitely a different shade from what we see here for the lower jaw. But definitely like a variation of a white or an off-white. But then you also have, again, kind of a light gray for the lower jaw, so you have some extra color variation there, and you can see that light coloration runs down here along the underside of the Gallimimus. We have some more really nice looking skin texture, skin detail up here on the top of the head. I'm definitely picking up on a really nice speckling up here on the top of the head as well. Once we move down into the neck, you start to get creases everywhere on this figure. Lots of creasing as you run down the entire course of the neck of the Gallimimus. You can see that all the way from the spinal column down here to the throat, just creases everywhere. pretty nice looking skin texture. You also pick up a nice brown striping that does run down the course of the neck of the dinosaur. Again, the coloration of this, although really nice, isn't exactly how you see the Gallimimus in Jurassic Park. They're a little bit different as far as the coloration goes, but it's like the basic kind of gist of it. Like, it looks similar to what AJP Gallimimus does look like, just not exact, unless there were different variations, and maybe this is one that I'm not too familiar with. Regardless, again, the coloration is really nice and naturally applied. The brown stripes running down the course of the neck all look great. You can see it's all very smooth as far as the application of the paint goes. There's also a really smooth transition from the orangish coloration of the body to that lighter underbelly here, or underside of the throat. You can also see the throat in general running down the course of the neck. As you run down, you have more of that off-white or like grayish coloration there in the chest running down along the underside of our Gallimimus. As you move down into the body, we have some really nice looking skin texture, and it is super vibrant. Like, that is a really, really nice looking sculpt when it comes to the fine detail. You can see the scale detail absolutely pops in the nicest way on the sculpt of the Gallimimus. You can also see that the brown stripes become quite a bit larger as you move into the body, yet they continue to look really natural on the entire figure. Moving down here into the arms, you can see more really nice skin texture as well as some muscle definition leading down into the arms. As you lead down, you again have more really nice detailing out into the hands. The hands also look good as far as the sculpting of the fingers goes. Kind of have like scoots down the fingers. Unfortunately, we actually don't have nail paint on the fingers, which is kind of shocking to me. I didn't expect that. I definitely thought there would be nail paint because they usually kind of go the extra mile when it comes to paintwork for the Hammond Collection figures, but unfortunately, no nail paint on the hands for the Gallimimus. You can again see up here on the top, you've got the spinal column running down along the back of our Gallimimus. Again, the detail is super vibrant here on the main body of the dinosaur. Moving down here into the thigh, again, that scale detail is honestly fantastic. Look at that skin texture. That is gorgeous and really, really vibrant. Like I said, over here, it's about just as vibrant. Maybe not quite, but very, very close to as vibrant as you see in the body there. When you run down the course of the thigh, you also have some nice muscle definition. Moving down the thigh, you can see that we've got kind of puny calf muscles, but they are there. But we also kind of have, really long legs for our Gallimimus. And I would say that's pretty much the way it looks in the, in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World in the film. And then as you move down, you can see some really nicely sculpted out feet. Of course, they are larger than they should be. Being a Mattel figure, that's almost always to be expected, but you can definitely see that the actual detailing is great. You can see more of the speckles, kind of giving it some alternate tones of coloration through the course of the figure. Nice scoots running down the course of the toes, very bird-like foot sculpt. You've also got some really nicely painted nails with a really glossy gray down here on the feet. So we do have nail paint down here at least, which of course always makes a world of difference when it comes to how nice a figure can look. And then as you lead back up here, you can see a few creases right here behind the thigh. Unfortunately, the coloration here of the underside does taper off pretty quickly. We don't get that running the entire course of the tail. You can see it does run along the back of the thighs, which is nice to see a little extra color out there. But unfortunately, again, it disappears before we lead out into the tail. Really nice skin creases and everything, though, as you run up the course of the tail. Really beautiful looking sculpt and detail. Lots of speckling out here on the tail as well. And then you see more of the striping again running down the course of the tail as you lead out here toward the tip. The striping does disappear, though, as you get closer out here toward the tip, and then we basically just have that orangish tone of color for the rest of the tail. But for the majority of the tail, we do have some nice striping running out there onto the tail. And of course, being an articulated figure, you're really not going to see too much difference over here compared to what we had just seen on the initial side. So that's really up to you. Again, you're not going to see too much difference as far as like movement or anything over here. Pull the leg back, kind of show you a better idea of like some skin wrinkles and stuff here in the lower part of the stomach, and just showing off how beautiful the detailing aspect of this Gallimimus is. This, as of right now, of course, prior to the T-Rex and Ceratosaurus being reviewed by me, I would say this is my favorite Hammond Collection figure that has released so far, because it's one of the species I was most looking forward to, one that I was the most hyped for, because it's one that's been just severely underrated and overlooked for so long, and they actually completely did this species justice with this figure, because there's very, very few things that you can complain about when it comes to this gorgeous Gallimimus. Now, as far as articulation, of course, we always have lots of articulation in the Hammond collection, so we do have the articulated jaw, which we already made mention of. You also have a spot right here in the neck that can articulate so that we can turn the head of the Gallimimus, completely turn the head backwards, so it can look back to see if there's a T-Rex chasing it down, I guess. That also kind of moves up and moves down, so you have some pretty smooth articulation in that way. You can also move the neck in this area right here at the base of the neck, down, and then I drop it, and up, so you can get a really high view there of the neck. And you can also swivel, definitely. I didn't even actually try any of this articulation prior, but I can kind of tell exactly where we're going with the articulation at this point of Mattel figures. You also have the arm articulation forward and back, and I can tell just by the way the joint looks, we can also move out away from the body very nicely. You also have the elbow articulation, and I'm willing to bet we could probably swivel that. Yep. So we can break the arm of the poor Gallimimus if we choose to. Then we also have hip articulation as well. Let's see if we go out. Yeah, definitely can move out away from the body as well. And then we have knee articulation, and then you also have articulation right there. And all of these areas I would imagine probably swivel, so you can definitely see they certainly can swivel. And then as we lead out here, you also have an area of articulation right here, which can also swivel. And we have a bendable wire tail, so you have that extra added articulation in that area as well. And of course, the larger feet of the Gallimimus will definitely help when it comes to balance for this figure, which of course will allow you to create some pretty cool poses and potential display options for your figure as per usual when it comes to the Hammond Collection line as far as a size goes. In the positioning that the Gallimimus is currently in, lengthwise, you're looking at just shy of about 7 3/4 inches, or right around the 19.5 centimeter area. And then for a height to the top of the head, about 4 1/4 inches, or around 11 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Hammond Collection Gallimimus. And you can definitely see that it sports a pretty good size. It certainly is bigger than any of the Gallimimus that we've had from Mattel up until this point. And to show you that, there is one of my favorite Gallimimus that Mattel had released up until this point, because it was that kind of Kenner inspired version, but it's like your standard sort of Attack Pack, Wild Pack size range Gallimimus, and you can definitely see that the Hammond Collection version is a good bit bigger than the kind of standard version of the Gallimimus from Mattel. But for another comparison, there is the battle damage version of the Gallimimus next to the Hammond Collection version. You can definitely see a little increase in size on this one. And not quite the same, though. Actually, I think this one looks a little bit closer to what a Jurassic Park Gallimimus looks like as far as the coloration goes. But you could definitely still, again, see that the Hammond Collection version is a little bit larger. And then, even though it's in the packaging, here is the Hammond Collection Velociraptor, kind of just to sort of give you a basic idea of the size of the Gallimimus. The Gallimimus is definitely larger than the Velociraptor. Unfortunately, I don't have the Velociraptor out of the packaging here. So I do, but I don't know where I put it. I've been trying to figure out where I put the Raptor. And with a collection this big, sometimes it's a little bit hard to figure out where you place things, especially when you have a memory as bad as mine. But again, the Velociraptor is definitely a little bit smaller than our Gallimimus. And then for another size comparison, here is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx next to the Hammond Collection Gallimimus. And obviously there's no comparison when it comes to a size here between these two species. The Baryonyx was definitely going to be quite a bit larger than our Gallimimus. But for one more comparison, now we have the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus next to the Gallimimus. And again, just like I said with the Baryonyx, we knew the Parasaurolophus would be quite a bit larger, but the Gallimimus definitely sits right there in the size range you honestly would expect when it comes to this type of figure. I feel like Mattel really did a great job on every aspect of this figure, including the size. So this brand new Hammond Collection Gallimimus is definitely a beautiful figure, and in fact, at first I was a little iffy on the smaller dinosaurs from the Hammond Collection with that initial Velociraptor, just because the feet were so huge, and I felt like the figure as a whole wasn't really that nice looking. It was a little ugly, but at the same time, like, I was warming up to that one as time went on. Now I'm kind of past the point of looking at it with the amount of downsides that it has, and looking at it more so with the upsides, whereas it looks like a pretty cool looking Velociraptor figure. I just still don't really like the big feet, but we again have that issue here with the Gallimimus, and at this point, the Gallimimus, I'm really, really warmed up to the Hammond Collection now, and I'm thinking that the Hammond Collection may be the best line that Mattel has created when it's all said and done. Like, we are probably going to get some of the best figures that we've ever received from Mattel. In fact, I would already say we have. Like, the Parasaurolophus is definitely the best Parasaurolophus. The Baryonyx is definitely the best Baryonyx. The Velociraptor, not so much, but the Gallimimus that we have here is absolutely the best version of a Gallimimus from Mattel so far. But again, we do still have the same larger feet on this one, though I don't think they look near as obnoxious as they did on the Velociraptor, and it actually looks a lot better, I think, here on the Gallimimus. As a whole, this thing is fantastic. Sculpt and detail-wise, it is just gorgeous. They have really hammered out an incredibly highly detailed sculpt on this figure, and definitely matched it up very nicely to the way it appears in Jurassic Park. The only thing that's not exactly perfect, in my opinion, to what Jurassic Park Gallimimus looked like would be the paint application. It's not exactly the way it looks in Jurassic Park, unless, again, there's a variant in that flock of Gallimimus that I didn't pick up on, but they usually seem to have a little bit of a different look. Not too far off, honestly. They mostly got it pretty good as far as like the tones of color and everything they used, but basically the striping along the back is a little bit different on the actual Gallimimus from Jurassic Park. But at the same time, again, they did a great job with the actual paint application of this one. Really nice striping along the back. It's super smooth and naturally applied. Really nice transitions between colors. It has that really cool speckling through the course of the figure, which sort of adds another element of paint application to it. Nicely painted nails. The only thing that paint-wise is a downside is the fact that the light coloration on the underside does not run all the way out onto the tail, and we don't have painted nails on the hands. Outside of that, though, I think the paint scheme and paint application they went with is actually really nice. We, of course, have some fantastic articulation as well. It's all super smooth, works perfectly, allows the Gallimimus to stand very nicely. Again, with the little bit larger feet, that definitely helps balance-wise, and all of the articulation works exactly as it should, which is also a huge plus. So as a whole, this is a complete win on the part of Mattel, and definitely a figure that I'm going to have to buy numerous more figures of, because with a Gallimimus this nice, I'm definitely going to have to get some to repaint, but also just generally have an awesome flock of Mattel Gallimimus. Definitely, without question, the best Gallimimus from Mattel yet. So if you are interested in this, just like I said earlier, make sure you check the link in the description, as I will include a link to Big Bad Toy Store where this is currently in stock, and you can grab it for yourself. So make sure you check that link, head on over there, grab this Gallimimus. It is honestly a must-have, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.